Hey guys, SoberOni here of G&A Reviews with an in-depth guide for the upcoming Halloween event in Fate Grand Order NA, the Singing Pumpkin Castle Mad Party event. So I'm going to go over as much as I can about the event. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the items in the shop. I'm going to talk about the event items that you need to collect to trade in for the shop items. I'm going to give a quick summary of the craft essences and the gacha, as well as going over the missions. Not too much, but I'm going to give a basic overview of the missions, what servants I recommend you bring, and most importantly, I'm going to go over the farming aspect of this event. First off, let's start off by saying, as I'm sure you've all heard, there is a free servant during this event. It is Caster Elizabeth. I won't go into too much detail about her here. She has 8,616 attack and a max HP of 11,404. She's a buster, AoE offensive caster. If you do want to know more about her and how worth it she is, I have a whole video dedicated to her linked in the description. It is her spotlight video where I go in detail about how good she is, where to use her, what strategies to use her in, what craft essences to use on her, which servants work best with her. So if you are interested in Elizabeth, that is the video to go watch. I won't dwell on her too long for this video. Just know that she is the free servant you get for completing this event. So what I think is most important is actually going over the items in the shop, because this shop is absolutely packed with items that we need for ascending servants. So looking at the event shop, we see that unlike the other events, there are multiple types of currency. Moon Goddess event kind of had multiple currencies, but not to this degree. So there are 4 different types of currency. There's pumpkins, bats, candles, and cakes. So depending on how difficult the items are to farm, that's how good the items they trade in for are. So let's take a look at cupcakes, which are the easiest to farm first. So starting from the top, you can trade in 500 cupcakes for 1 Caster Liz. You can trade in 5 cupcakes for a 3-star EXP, and you can do that up to 50 times. You can also trade in 10 cupcakes for a 4-star EXP up to 50 times. You can trade in 30 cupcakes for an Evil Bone up to 20 times. 30 cupcakes for a Dragon Fang up to 20 times. 30 cupcakes for a Ghost Lantern up to 20 times. 60 cupcakes for a Homunculus Baby up to 20 times. And then 40 cupcakes for a Caster Piece up to 20 times, or 80 cupcakes for a Caster Monument up to 20 times. You can also trade 10 cupcakes for 10,000 QP. There's unlimited trades on that, but it's really not worth farming it. So we're just going to move on to candles. You can trade in 100 candles for 1 Caster Liz. 120 candles will get you a Trick or Treat craft essence. You can do that up to 5 times. 60 candles will get you a reverse dragon scale, which I know is very high in demand. You can do that up to 10 times. So you can get 10 reverse dragon scales from this shop. 15 candles will trade in for 1 Lancer piece up to 20 times. 30 candles will trade in for a Lancer monument up to 20 times. And you can also trade in 1 candle for 2 cupcakes. Next up, we have bats. You can trade in 50 bats for another Liz. 20 bats will get you 1 twinkling candy, and you can do that up to 4 times. The twinkling candy is actually a ascension item for Elizabeth. You actually need those to ascend her. So if you plan on ascending your Caster Liz, you need to buy these 4 candies. You can also trade in 100 bats for 1 Halloween Princess up to 4 times. 5 bats for a Saber Piece for up to 20 times. And 10 bats for a Saber Monument up to 20 times. And finally, you'll notice that bats trade in for cupcakes at a rate of 1 for 5. And finally, the rarest item is pumpkins. You can trade in 10 pumpkins for 1 Liz. 20 pumpkins will get you a Maiden Halloween craft essence up to 3 times. 40 pumpkins will get you 1 crystallized lore. 1 pumpkin trades in for 1 berserker piece up to 20 times. And 2 pumpkins trade in for a berserker monument up to 20 times. And finally, you can trade in 1 pumpkin for 50 cupcakes. And to save you from doing all that math, I will just tell you right now, if you plan on clearing all the items in the shop, you will need 170 pumpkins, 830 bats, 2,200 candles, and a whopping 6,850 cupcakes. So you have a lot of farming ahead of you if you plan on clearing the shop. Thankfully, there are plenty of craft essences that will help you farm these items 3 of which are available through the Halloween shop, and another 3 which are available through the gacha. Each craft essence will correspond with a different farmable item and will increase the drop rate of that item. So let's go over those now. The 3-star craft essence Trick or Treat will give you an extra 2 cupcakes for every servant you have equipped with it, and you can actually get that craft essence from the shop. The Jack-o'-lantern 3-star craft essence will increase your sweet candle drops by 1, and that is found in the gacha, though you can roll it in the friend point gacha. So I do suggest rolling the friend point gacha for this event and getting as many of those Jack-o'-lantern craft essences as you can get. Next up is the 4-star craft essence Halloween Princess, which you can obtain in the shop and will increase your candle drops by 2. Then we have Halloween Arrangement is a 4-star craft essence that drops from the gacha, which increases the bat drops by 1. Then Made in Halloween, which you can buy from the shop and increases your bat drops by 2. And finally, the last craft essence is Little Halloween Devil, which increases pumpkin drops by 1 and is only obtainable through the gacha. So this is going to be the hardest craft essence to obtain. Going over them individually, let's take a look at Trick or Treat. Of course, Trick or Treat will increase your cupcake drop rate by 2, but it also has the effect of increasing debuff success rate by 10%. This is a pretty bad craft essence. Outside of the increased cupcake drops, it's kind of worthless, so you're going to probably just use it for this event and forget about it. However, Halloween Princess, which is obtainable from the shop, you can buy 4 copies of it, increases Noble Phantasm strength by 15%, and it increases your Noble Phantasm gauge by 30% at the start of a battle, on top of increasing your candle drops by 2. So this is actually one of the best event craft essences in the game. It is absolutely essential that you at least get one of these, and I highly recommend that you farm for that 5th copy. The 5th copy is not available in the shop. You're gonna have to farm for a craft essence drop, which is an extremely frustrating thing to do, but it is totally worth it, because when you limit break this craft essence, it will increase your Noble Phantasm strength by 20%, and you will start the battle with a 50% Noble Phantasm gauge. It is ridiculously strong. So we'll get into farming this craft essence later on in this guide, but I do highly recommend you farm it. It is the best craft essence from this event. Moving on to the other craft essence you can buy at the shop is Made in Halloween, which increases the bat drops by 2. It also increases your HP recovery amount by 60%. Again, just like the 3-star, it's not really that great of a craft essence, especially for a 5-star, but it's passable. You may use it on occasion. It works exceptionally well on Marie Antoinette if you have her, but it's not worth farming for, and you probably won't use it outside of this event. Moving on to the craft essences you obtain from the gacha. The first is the 3-star craft essence Jack-o'-lantern, which increases the candle drops by 1 and also applies damage plus 100. It's also not a very good craft essence. You're not going to use it outside of this event. It's really only good for increasing your candle drops. However, it is available in the Friend Point Gacha, so I absolutely recommend you roll that Friend Point Gacha and get as many of these as you can get. Next up is Halloween Arrangement. It's a 4-star craft essence that increases bat drops by 1, but it also applies Taunt for 1 turn and increases defense by 60% for 1 turn. The Taunt only lasts the first turn of the battle. It's pretty useless as a craft essence, especially considering it's a 4-star craft essence. It's absolutely not worth rolling for. Outside of that increased bat drop, you're never going to use this. And finally, the 5-star craft essence from the gacha is Little Halloween Devil. It increases pumpkin drops by 1. It is the only craft essence that increases pumpkin drops, so this is the most valuable farming craft essence this event. In addition, it increases Noble Phantasm gain by 20% and increases your gauge by 50% at the start of the battle. This is another really strong craft essence. It's fantastic for anyone who wants to spam their Noble Phantasm. So servants like Tamamo, Waver, Hans, pretty much your support-like servants will really appreciate this craft essence. I would say it's worth limit breaking, but it's going to cost you a fortune considering it's a 5-star craft essence that's limited. However, it is worth rolling for sure, and if you are lucky enough to limit break it, it's definitely one of the better event craft essences. And while we're on the subject of the gacha, we should probably go over the servants for the gacha as well. Of course, first up is Tamamo. She is the 5-star caster. She has a max attack of 10,546 and a max HP of 14,259. She is an absolutely great top tier servant. If you want an in-depth analysis of Tamamo, I have a link in the description to her servant spotlight where I go in depth about how good she is and how to use her effectively, so I do recommend checking that out, but she is definitely worth rolling for. The next servant on rate up is Carmilla. She is an assassin with 9,408 attack and a max HP of 10,473. Another really strong servant. She is exceptionally great at killing riders, which is fantastic for the recent rider daily quest. If you do roll her, it is absolutely worth it. She's one of the better assassins. Moving on, the next servant on rate up is Tamamo Cat. She's a berserker with 9,026 attack and 11,458 HP. She is a decent farming berserker. She has an AoE Noble Phantasm. She isn't too strong. She's no Herc, but she's definitely really strong at farming, and she can come in clutch in that regard. So if you do roll her, it's absolutely worth it as well. The 4-star and 5-star servants in this gacha are all worth rolling. The next servant on rate up is the 3-star Mephistopheles. He is a caster with 6,839 attack and 9,216 HP. Funny that he is in this gacha because he's actually completely outclassed by Liz, who is the free servant that you get. So it's absolutely not worth rolling for Mephistopheles. He's just inferior in every way to the free Liz that you'll be getting. And finally, the last servant on rate up is Darius III. He is a berserker with 7,608 attack and 8,763 HP. He's a decent berserker. He's no Lubu or Herc, but if you don't have Kyohime, he can fill that farming role as well. He isn't great, but he isn't bad either. And those are all the servants on rate up. Overall, it's a very strong gacha. I do recommend it. Tamamo alone makes this gacha worth it, but Carmilla and Tamamo Cat are strong servants as well. Now that we went over the item shop and the gacha, I want to touch on the missions. So there isn't much to say about the main quest missions. I'm not going to go too in detail with them. They're fairly simple and straightforward. If your servants were strong enough to beat Okeanis or even Septum, you're more than strong enough to beat this event. It's not a very challenging event. The only part that you really need to look out for is the last battle against Caster Liz. She will have 106,000 HP, but again, it's not too bad. I do highly recommend Ushi for this event. If you have Ushi Wakamaru, I really recommend her. She absolutely destroys casters, and she will probably kill Liz in about 1 or 2 turns if you have her at Noble Phantasm 5 and max level. So don't worry too much about it. Any strong rider is great for this event. Whether it's Medusa or Drake or anyone in between, you should be more than prepared for this event. You may also want to bring a strong caster like Medea to deal with some assassin enemies that pop up, as well as a strong assassin servant like Carmilla, Jinkei, or Sasaki Kojiro, since there are a number of wyvern enemies. You can also bring a strong saber as well. I recommend Caesar if you have him, since he's single target, but of course Altera, Alter, and even Saber herself, all perfectly viable. Even Saber Lily is strong enough to take on this event. So again, the main quest, don't worry too much about it. All you need is an Ushi or strong rider to take care of Caster Liz, and maybe a strong single target servant to take care of the occasional berserker here and there. Other than that, it shouldn't give you too much trouble. It's also worth noting that when you complete this event, you get a Holy Grail, which is a very, very strong incentive for beating the main quest. Grails are extremely limited, so it's a fantastic reward. It's basically an easy to get grail, so go for it. So besides the main quest, there's also free quest. Just like when you beat a chapter in story mode, you unlock the free quest version of those stages, which you can then repeat over and over again for farming purposes. And this is when we touch on farming. And that's probably the most important part of this guide, and I'm sure the part that you all care the most about. So, there are 5 free quests that you can farm. There's a 10 AP, a 20 AP, a 30 AP, a 40 AP, and a 50 AP. Going over the individual quests, you'll see that the 10 AP drops lanterns, evil bones, assassin pieces, and monuments. The 20 AP drops the same, but it also drops octuplet crystals. The 30 AP drops dragon fangs, and the 40 AP drops Yggdrasil seeds. But if you're not farming for ascension items, the more important thing to farm for is these shop items. So, what do you farm and where do you farm it? The absolute best way to farm this event is to completely ignore the 10 and 20 AP quests. Even though they drop the most cupcakes, they're absolutely not efficient. Don't waste any time doing the 10 or 20 AP quests. Instead, you should be farming the 30 and 40 AP quests. You'll notice that the 30 AP quest drops candles and bats, as does the 40 AP quest, but the 40 AP quest also drops pumpkins. The 40 AP quest is the best spot to farm, period, because it drops everything and has a chance of dropping pumpkins. The 10, 20, and 30 AP do not drop pumpkins, and pumpkins are very, very rare drops. So if the 40 AP is the best place to farm, why would you want to farm the 30 AP? Well, the 30 AP also drops candles and bats, but more importantly, it drops Halloween Princess. The 30 AP is the only stage you can farm for this craft essence, and like I said earlier, this is one of the best event craft essences you can get. So I highly, highly recommend farming the 30 AP until you get this craft essence to drop, and then moving on to the 40 AP to finish up. If you don't have that kind of time in your hands and you're very pressed for time, then just farm the 40 AP. That is the most efficient way to farm. Now, you do not farm for cupcakes. It kind of seems counterintuitive, but farming for cupcakes is inefficient. What you want to do is trade in pumpkins and bats for cupcakes. And that's why 40 AP is just the overall best place to farm, since pumpkins and bats drop there the most. So what you're going to want to do is every time you get a pumpkin or a bat, trade it in for some cupcakes, and then buy all the things in the shop that require cupcakes, and then buy all the things that require bats and pumpkins. Use your best judgment to determine what you want to buy first. Obviously, it depends based on what your needs are. But the 40 AP has got you covered for everything you need. And if you want to farm those cupcakes, the most efficient way to farm them is to farm bats and pumpkins and then trade them in for cupcakes. Candles are not worth trading in for cupcakes, so don't worry about that. Just sell the candles to the shop. But bats and pumpkins, absolutely worth trading for cupcakes. So just a quick recap: 30 AP until you get the craft essence, then 40 AP and trade your bats and pumpkins for cupcakes. If you don't have that kind of time in your hands, just straight farm the 40 AP. Now, this is where it gets kind of a little weird. In addition to the 40 and 30 AP free quests, there's also party quests and gorilla quests. What are those? Well, party quests are random quests that happen twice a day, every day of the event. I'm going to put up a chart that shows when the party and gorilla events happen. This chart is not 100% accurate. It's based on the Japanese version that occurred 2 years ago, so the times might not be accurate. But overall, party events happen twice a day, and gorilla quests happen usually around 4 times a day. What these are just random quests that appear on the map and give you special rewards. Every time you beat a party quest, you will get a golden fruit. That means you can earn up to 2 golden fruit every day of this event, which is fantastic because you're going to be doing a lot of farming. But more importantly, the gorilla quests are better because they drop pumpkins. Gorilla quests are the best way to farm pumpkins. Pumpkins are very, very, very rare drops outside of gorilla quests. So it's almost as if they're limited to gorilla quests. You're not really going to find that many in the 40 AP, but gorilla quests will drop a lot of pumpkins. However, gorilla quests and party quests are not repeatable like the free quests are. So you get one shot. That means if you are doing a gorilla quest, make sure you bring somebody who has a little Halloween devil craft essence that increases the pumpkin drops. And if you have it, make sure you equipped it, because that will maximize the amount of pumpkins you get. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time farming pumpkins from the 40 AP. However, it is worth noting that the gorilla quests, even though they're one time only, they will remain on the map until the event ends. So if you don't do any gorilla quests until the last day of the event, you'll just see like 50 gorilla quests on your map. All of them are still doable until the end of the event. So don't rush, wait until you either have the little Halloween Devil craft essence or you have a friend who has that craft essence, and then use them during the gorilla event to maximize those pumpkin drops. So just an overall recap for the farming, since this is the most important part. Farm the 30 AP until the craft essence drops, then farm the 40 AP, trade all your pumpkins and bats in for cupcakes, do the party quest whenever they appear so that you can get golden fruit, and whenever you see a gorilla quest, make sure you bring either your own little Halloween Devil craft essence or a friend who has that craft essence to maximize the pumpkin drops. And that pretty much covers farming as well as the whole event. I hope this was a very useful guide for you guys. Please let me know if it was. I do recommend you watch those spotlight videos I have linked below so that you have a great understanding of how good Tamamo and Caster Liz are and how to utilize them effectively. So please do check out those videos when you do get the chance. And as in-depth as I try to be with this guide, I'm sure I missed something here and there. So please, if I missed anything or you have any questions, I'm there in the comments. Leave a comment below. I'll be happy to help you guys. And if this video helped you in any way or you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like. And if you really enjoyed it, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I post regular Fate Grand Order content as well as Fate Grand Order streams. So look forward to some more of that. And I wish you guys a happy Halloween. Soberoni out. Later.